Arizona Governor Jan Brewer lashing out at the Obama administration, referring to parts of her state's border with Mexico as, quote, a nightmare. Now, Brewer also calling on Congress to pass a standalone border security bill. So let's bring in Ford OConnell. He is chairman of Civic Forum PAC and former outreach director for John McCain for president, and Richard Goodstein, he's Democratic political consultant and former advisor to Hillary Clinton for president in 2008. Thank you both for joining us.
Thank you for having us, Heather.
So here is where we stand at this moment. The decision to pass comprehensive immigration reform, it's essentially been in the hands of the Republican-controlled House since the Democrat-led Senate passed such a bill in June. Now, the Senate bill includes billions of dollars for for border security, new workplace enforcement requirements, a revamped legal immigration system, and a path to citizenship for the estimated 11 million immigrants living in the country illegally. GOP leaders, they've already rejected the Senate bill, instead proceeding with, single issue bills, they say, starting with border security. So I'll begin with you, Ford. Is a standalone border security bill a reality or a possible reality?
Well, I think it's a possible reality because essentially we can't do any type of immigration, whether comprehensive or piecemeal or whatever, until we actually have clear, verifiable metrics that we can all agree on with respect to illegal immigration. For example, the Border Patrol head, Michael Fisher, says illegal immigration is up 13%. The administration likes to say, no, it isn't. And on top of it, DHS doesn't even tell us how many illegal immigrants actually succeed in border crossing. Here's what I do know. If we don't do anything and we don't get any sort of immigration reform, border security in place, 1 in 3 Americans by 2016, according to the U.S. Census Bureau, is going to be Hispanic. The reality is on us right now. We have to find a way to secure this border, and that should be the basis of everything we do going forward. And if we can do that properly, maybe we should have a pathway to citizenship. Right. But again, until we get that point, until there's clear, verifiable metrics, there's no point in doing anything.
So, Richard, the majority of Americans seem to support securing the border first as well. According to this Fox News poll, among registered voters, 69% agree in requiring border security before changing immigration policies.
This notion of going a border security first is a red herring. It's a red herring because the bar ends up getting raised so high that you could never clear it. It's a red herring by people who really, at the end of the day, do not want
Richard, my friend, I got to
reform.
interrupt you there on that point. The point right now is that we don't have clear, verifiable metrics on what exactly our immigration problem is, to what extent, who's crossing the border.
Well,
on one hand, the Yuma sector is getting better, but on another hand, the Big Bend sector in Texas is getting worse.
Ford,
and we don't want to repeat 1986.
One second. We know a couple of things that are factual. One, the number of deportations are at record highs, more at the current rates by the end of 2014 than we saw in the whole history of the country through 1997.
But just because
so Obama's been pretty good about that
doesn't mean that you're not letting others go, Richard. I'm sorry, you're playing a word game with me. And I am very interested in immigration reform,
sir.
Oh,
wait. Now, you're both yelling over each other, but I want to ask you both this. And this really shocked me. According to this Government Accountability Office, did you hear about this, the Homeland Security Department? They lost track of more than 1 million people who it knows arrived in the U.S., but who can't prove left the country.
I agree we need a kind of better metrics, as Ford says, or some better tracking mechanism, something that basically makes their visa kind of turn red and explode when the time is up.
Exactly
but that's
right.
a different issue.
All right, Ford, last word.
I don't think that's a different issue, though, Richard. I think that's the exact same issue, because now we're talking about legal people who stay over, and we all know it's easier to come here illegally than legally. And let me say this. I'm going to bash Republican leaders right now. Eric Cantor sidestepped this question with Chris Wallace this morning. And the point is, whether it's legally or illegally, we have to find out the right mechanisms to be able to track people, because we cannot say that border apprehension effectiveness is X, Y, or Z without actually knowing. And the best way to start, and Jan Brewer's right about this, even if some people think that she's not the right spokesperson to be making this argument, and that is basically the border governors from Texas to California, including Jerry Brown, who the Obama administration has been keeping under wraps.
All right. Thank you both for joining us. We'll see. The House takes it up in the fall. We'll see.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you.